Right, mate, we're on. Yes, people, welcome back to Process. Today we've got a slightly different guest. One of my good friends, well, one of my mates' friends anyway. We met probably a while ago now, based down in Brighton. He is a trader for day by day and then also plays a little bit of hockey at a decent level. I say a little bit of hockey and a fellow goalkeeper as well. So welcome to the podcast, Luke Appleton.
Thank you, mate.
And I was going to say, we haven't spoken that long, but since the last time we spoke, a lot's kind of happened in terms of, I know that obviously your hockey career is kind of pushed on a little bit, but also trading. I haven't got a clue about trading. So I'm one of them dummies. And there's probably people thinking, like listening to this thinking, I don't have a clue about trading either. So you can kind of explain to me what you do on a daily basis as a trader.
Yeah, good question. I mean, because I'm mostly in the crypto markets, which are 24/7, my schedule is all over the shop because you can be pinged at 4 o'clock in the morning with alerts literally this morning. And I'm up at just past 4 o'clock, and you can't really get back to sleep after that. And then I'll be taking maybe if I'm quite tired, taking some naps in the day for like 20 minutes to try and readjust. But it's not like a traditional, if you're a stock trader, you have those times set that the markets are going to be open. The US markets or the UK market, should I say, open at 8 o'clock in the morning. The US market's open at 2:30. So you kind of have like a structured part of your day. For me, even though I do invest into the stock market, but more so that's like long term, I'm not looking to like make gains like this. And crypto being 24/7, there isn't like I wake up at this time, I do this at X time. If I can get a lion, brilliant. If I don't get pinged by an alarm in the night, that's brilliant. And then I'll kind of go to bed as early as I can, maybe around 10 o'clock, 9:30, because generally speaking, I will be woken up quite early for some various reason or another.
Yeah. I was going to say it because like I said, I'm an absolute dummy. Can you very, very briefly, firstly explain what trading is? Again, I'll probably sound like a complete dummy. There probably is people who are listening because obviously a lot of my guests are fitness or whatever, but just briefly explain it.
Well, with me, I wouldn't even necessarily call myself a trader. I'd more so call myself like a portfolio manager. And the way that I would describe this, if you have like a hedge fund or any type of fund, really, they're not necessarily, I know I was kind of saying like in and out of the markets like very quickly, but not always the case. You kind of have, you have your capital, say you have 100 grand, and then you're kind of diversifying that across different areas in the economy, different sectors, and kind of thinking like why you think they're going to kind of perform well. A lot of people think it's like clicking buttons and doing this, doing that. My job's not like that. It's research, and then 1%'s clicking the button. It's having charts up and understanding like, right, if price moves into these directions, what does that kind of mean? And when those levels kind of break, it's understanding, right, well, then it's more likely to run up. So maybe I should shift some of my capital that's over here and then stick it more so here because that's the better bet at that kind of moment in time. So where people go like, oh, you're a trader, what I think of trading, and this is a thing, is you have these like quant funds, which basically have run extremely complex math algorithms, and they're in the market very, very quickly. It's all like fiber optics. They're not human generated. Now that to me is trading because it's very, very dynamic. It's very this and that. Whereas for me, I'd more so call it kind of like portfolio management, long-term kind of investing, still making those trades. Whereas I say, if I get pinged by an alert, in the night, like I did this morning, price has broken level, right? Am I now looking to sell? How are we reacting off that level? And sometimes I don't even execute a trade. It's just that I've been woken up, that level's been hit. I need to see how price is kind of reacting and if I need to make kind of adjustments to my portfolios and stuff like that.
Yeah, I get you. So where do you get most of your research from? Is it like, well, I know we talked about Twitter, wasn't it?
I mean, Twitter, that's maybe more so opinions. Bloomberg is my go-to source of news. I pay a subscription of about £30 a month or whatever. They do a trial for £3. If you just keep re-signing up and under different emails, you can kind of get away with it for a little bit. But that's kind of my, like when I wake up in the morning, the first thing is always check the news, understand what's happening in markets, what's moving markets. That's important as well. And then you'll kind of And then if you realize that certain areas of the markets are moving, right, for example, in the crypto markets at the moment, things that are performing very, very well are decentralized exchanges. I don't know if you've seen what's happened with GameStop recently. The stock out in
I heard
America.
something. Yeah, mate, you update me. You can.
Yeah, they're basically there. There was a thing that the stock was heavily shorted. Oh, this is fucking hilarious. The stock was heavily shorted. And what you mean by a short is you essentially borrow the stock to buy back at a lower price, and you make money on the price dropping. So it's a bit different to just buying it and looking to go long, because you don't necessarily own the stock. It's kind of a bit complex, but on a very, very basic level, you make money on it dropping. This stock was very, very heavily shorted by all of these different hedge funds. I think 98% of the float was short. And these group of Redditors saw this, and they started because if you start moving the stock in the other direction, well, what happens? Because these shorts, they start losing money because the price is going up. They're forced to cover their positions. They have to buy back into the market to just make sure that they don't blow up, essentially. And then buying back in causes the stock to rise even faster. So it's kind of this cascade effect, and it's called a short squeeze. And this was the most epic short squeeze basically of all time. And the stock went from about $4 up to over 400. I think it even hit 500 in pre-market in the space of a couple of weeks or about a month. Yeah. Exactly. So it's absolutely insane. And it was all thanks to these Redditors who basically just teamed up against the hedge funds. We were just like, fuck these people. Sorry, I've got a error coming up. They were basically like, fuck these people, keep driving the stock up. It got loads of social media attention. So that carried more people started buying, driving the stock price up even more. But then what happened is the leading brokerage in the US called Robinhood, one's here for us like Trading 212, mine's IG, and they even did this later as well, but they cancelled out the buy order and only left the sell order for the retail investors, which I know.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think I watched one of your videos on this like a TikTok or something, so I kind of understand where you're coming from here. Yeah, so it's just manipulating the market.
In that TikTok, I kind of explained it like you have the professionals and you have the retail, and if you're playing a game of football, it literally is the underdogs are winning for the very first time ever. They were crushing the professionals, and then at half time, out of nowhere, the ref goes, right, you're not allowed to pass the ball anymore. They can still do all of that. They still had access to being able to buy, sell, all of those different things. And what that did was literally cause the market to crash. And it went from $400 to about $100 in the space of about 5 minutes. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But what that allowed them to do, obviously, because they were getting so hammered, they were able to cover their positions, get out at that lower price. But because Robinhood did this brokerage, I mean, it's fucking hilarious because they're called Robinhood and they literally were robbing the poor to give to the rich, because that's essentially what they did. The crypto markets, there's what's called a decentralized exchange. Long-winded answer to get there, but there's what's called decentralized exchanges, and these have been performing very well off the back of this because they don't necessarily have one central point of control. Central point of control being Robinhood. They have a management team. They said, right, we're shutting this down. With a DEX, you don't have one single point. There's loads of different people operating it, so you can't just make a decision like that where you shut it down. And in a lot of ways, I think it's going to kind of be the future of finance as well. But these decentralized exchanges have been performing very, very well of this. So I understand that these are performing well. I'll do my research on various different companies in the space, work out which ones I think are maybe slightly more undervalued compared to the ones that are trading at a slightly higher market caps. To do research this way. And then what I'll do is I'll go, all right, what levels are attractive for me to get into these companies if I think they're going to keep on performing well, either on a pullback or if they start breaking out, do I think they're going to keep moving up? And that's kind of the process of how I would go about, my trading. It's as I say, people think it's like clicking buttons, it's not like that. It's a lot of research and a lot of, I have a theory of something doing well. Do I think it's going to continue doing well? So I keep getting warning flags pop up. It's more so I will have a view on the market. Do I think it's going to continue in this direction? Why do I think DEXs are performing well, per se, as an example? Do I think they're going to continue performing well into the future? And then it's being able to reshuffle that portfolio in the right way that I'm not all in on it. So if it goes wrong, because you can be wrong, you're not screwed. And it's being able to weigh up those risks and kind of make those calculated bets. It's just very calculated betting is probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah. Has there ever been any sort of, obviously you don't have to tell you, has there been any moments where there's been big losses? Because I can imagine every trader's obviously had some big losses.
I've lost well over 10,000 in a day. How
do you bounce back from that? What goes through your head after that? That's obviously a lot of money. Well, you're a young lad as well.
Yesterday I went for, I had a position. So this was off the Elon tweet. I got in early. I made in the region of around 15 to 20K and lost it within a couple of hours from not getting out of the position in time.
Mental, mate. If I had 20K in the bank, I'd be taking it and running.
It is pretty like the swings, like that was a worse one. Like that's one of my worst ones. Probably one of the worst I've had. Like in terms of like, you see it there and you see it coming back, and you don't want to get out of the position because nothing's kind of invalidated your trade idea. But it's hard to take sometimes. Like it's a bitter pill to swallow.
I can imagine, man.
I'm not trying to make out like that's a normal occurrence. Like that doesn't normally happen. Yeah. It was like I saw an opportunity, went in harder than I probably should have, did well, thought it was going further, and then you get crushed on the way down. So that's kind of one of my worst ones, but there's been times obviously where I've lost a few grand. I mean, having a large net worth in Bitcoin anyway, which I do, I've had some pretty hefty swings of like my overall net worth thanks to that as well.
Yeah, it's like the more that you have, the more there kind of is to lose it, the more you're putting at stake. So don't know how you do it. Is there any days where you kind of think like, nah, you know what, this is enough kind of thing. I need to kind of take a bit of time off, or can you really take any time off at all as a trader?
You should do. Yesterday, like yesterday was an example. Once, because I went up, I went down, and like I was very confident it was going to come back. I even, but it did come back. I thought it was going to go higher, but I was like, I just need to get out. This isn't good for me, like emotionally. If you're ever in, and I wouldn't necessarily, if you're in a position where you don't feel comfortable holding it, you shouldn't be in the position. And like, that was a mistake for me yesterday. I went in too hard. I was right. And then I was wrong.
Yeah.
And, then you have those repercussions of, if you make a decision too quickly, then those kind of situations happen. But I don't know if you know this, but I used to play a very high level of poker. So the highest I've been is out in Barcelona. I played in the European Poker Tour, which is a 5,300 euro buy-in tournament. So like I'm used to playing high stakes is basically my point. Like I'm used to making money and losing money. It doesn't hurt me nearly as much anymore because like I understand what I'm betting on. Like I understand like there's risk to things, and even if it goes wrong, I know what I could gain from it and it's worth it. And you kind of numbs you over time.
Yeah. I was going to talk about like how did you get into trading? How did you get into the poker originally? Was it just something like that you've always done with like family and stuff, or how did it?
No, not at all. Well, my dad does wholesale food, so like my granddad was farmer who does chicken. So like this is as far left field from all of that. The poker, I've always been into like I've always been very good at maths and that kind of side of. And crunching numbers. And I've always enjoyed playing poker since I was about 17, 18, where I kind of kicked off. I didn't have much money at the time. I was playing like $5 tournaments, $1 tournaments on PokerStars. And I won this $1 tournament with like 5,000 people in it for like $900, close to $1,000. And at that point, I was like 18. I had like maybe £400 or £500 in savings. But like that was a lot of money to me, like I now had well over $1,000 to my name, and I was kind of like, right, like I don't want to lose this money. I then spent, I think, about 150 quid on like training sites and like understanding how poker like works. And I studied it for like hard for about 6 to 8 months. Like that's literally like basically all I did. And then by the time I went to uni, I was good at poker. Like I was well above the average person for my age by that point. Like I wasn't like nearly amazing, but like I was a winning player. You know, the portfolio of my poker winnings had maybe gone up to a couple of grand by this point. Nothing too serious. And then when I was at uni, I didn't tell anyone, but I played so much online poker. Like Rory had no idea.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone knew, because it's kind of like a touchy subject. I didn't want people to like look at me in a different way, like, because people should see it as gambling, whereas I didn't see it necessarily as gambling, because I knew I was playing a winning strategy that was going to net me money over the long run. So and I didn't want people to maybe necessarily look kind of down at me. And when people kind of woke up, like people didn't believe that I was trading. They thought I was just chatting shit after I left uni, like because I did sports science. They were kind of like, yeah, bollocks. And then when I went and played in the 5K Euro Barcelona tournament, like you can't fake that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it kind of woke people's eyes up to going, oh, he actually does this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But how that opened the door for trading, on kind of your second question for that. I sort of with poker as well. I don't really play anymore. It's more so out of leisure. After I won them, I ended up winning about 10K out in, or 9,000 something euros, and then a bit more in the cash game. But I went cold turkey basically after that, because I realized I don't really want my life being sat at a poker table, staring at screens all day. It's kind of what I do anyway now, but kind of what I do anyway now. But the game was getting harder to beat. You know how I kind of mentioned I signed up to these training sites. Like there's way more of them. People are getting smarter. The game's getting harder, and like the profitability margin was just coming down by the day. So and also at the same time, the fee that you would have to pay to play the game, that was going up all the time instead of coming down, which it should be realistically. So the profit margin was just getting too much, and I didn't necessarily. It wasn't a trend that I saw changing. So that's kind of why I stopped playing poker. In a lot of ways, it did bankroll me into the markets as well, because what I was doing while I was playing poker, I was studying the markets as well, because they're very, very similar. Playing poker, and I think you could appreciate it's understanding betting and like expected value and all of those kind of things. Within the poker community, a lot of people were talking about Bitcoin. So I kind of knew what it was prior 2017, that big run up that you were talking about before we went live. Yeah. And I was investing some of those winnings into Bitcoin at the time. Just like I didn't necessarily know what I was doing. I just kind of, they were all hyping it up. I kind of saw it as like I just found it very interesting, and I thought some utility to it as well. And by that point, obviously, it starts running up. I'm winning money at poker, made some money there. And by the time that I came to leave university, I did fuck all with my studies. I ended up getting a third in sports and exercise science. Absolutely hated every single second of it. All I did was play hockey and literally do poker and trading. Like that's literally all I did, and go out and just have fun. By the time I came to leave university, finance, I knew I really enjoyed. I was really into Bitcoin by this point. I was really into understanding financial markets, how they work, stocks, all of this kind of stuff. I got a job in a financial advisors, which I worked at for a couple of months. I absolutely hated it. I was basically their bitch boy for, you know, when if you start a company, you're like right down the bottom. Yeah. And I was literally doing all of the jobs I was just doing all the jobs they didn't want to do, like calling up just pure admin. I was kind of like, do I want this to be my life where I sit in front of a desk, sucking up to my boss for the next 10 years, trying to hope I get a bit of a pay rise, and being on 25 grand is kind of the bottom salary until I get up to maybe 50, 55 grand. I knew that wasn't the life that I wanted to live.
Mm-hmm. No, I got what you mean.
And I ended up quitting. I had enough money by that point to kind of go, you know, let's give this kind of a go myself. Mm-hmm. I should also mention I got a 10,000 pound loan, I say, from my grandparents, who also helped me back me starting as well. I say a loan, they're not going to want that money back. Like I could pay them back now, but you know, it was kind of like a thing to help me be able to achieve as well. Like I probably maybe had 20, 30 grand to my name, but that also helped as well to, you know, put it in the right, put it in the foot in the right direction, and then be able to, where now obviously Bitcoin's done very well, the markets have done well, that I'm in a position to do it full time and not have to think about joining, you know, someone else. And then the YouTube stuff, that's more so a way to diversify and make as many different income streams coming in as possible, and maybe something a bit more stable than.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm very interested in terms of like your personality. I can tell you've got a very addictive personality. Do you think you've always kind of had that in terms of like you get into something, even when you were young? I know obviously we'll touch on hockey, you started playing hockey, but when you were younger, was there anything like as soon as you start something, you want to be the best at it and you want to learn everything about it? Because you've done that with poker, trading.
Literally, yeah, mate. I mean, I've been the single most competitive person. I mean, we talk about sports now. I used to be a British gymnast when I was younger, and that kind of set me up for like every single sport that I played. I was captain of the rugby, captain of the swimming, captain of the cricket. I was county cricket, obviously, but hockey as well. I was like badminton. I literally every single sport I did. I was like that kid who had to be the best at it, but basically. And that was a part of kind of in large reason why I ended up going to Loughborough as well. Even though I hated the degree, you know, the sport is absolutely insane there. And that's why I knew I wanted to go there as well. Whereas now that I've got older, where that kind of passion was like, I have to win on, do this and be the best on that kind of sports field. It still is, but it's now like, I want to be the best at making money. You know, so it's kind of like, I see life as a big game, you know, kind of like, as a good quote, it's like, life's a game, money's how you keep score. And that's kind of like how I like to think of it as well.
I like that. It is crazy. We'll quickly talk about your hockey, because you played at a decent level, haven't you? Playing at England level, because I know a little bit about, obviously Rory's mentioned it and we've obviously briefly discussed it, but when was it that kind of started to take off? Was that just one of them things that you did when you were younger? Not necessarily like I've always wanted to be a hockey player, but you were just good at it and just kind of took on from there. Is it one of them
so I
things?
to say that I was going to be a hockey player like now, where I don't really play other sports. Sorry, I keep need drinking water.
Don't worry.
I was naturally good. So I used to play for Bristol City Football, and I was in goal when I was like year 7, year 8. I mean, like in the goals, I don't know if you're full size goals then. I think the year that it started going up to full size goals, I was getting too small. Yeah. And the natural transition was to hockey, which is much smaller goals, you know, and my game was always to, you know, come out, smother, be agile. And hockey can be catered towards that. It isn't necessarily like, I'm not going to be screwed by not being able to reach the corners necessarily. I obviously was very good at it because of football, because of gymnastics, athleticism. It just like tied in well. I ended up like, they had like a first team keeper that was there for the last couple of years. And then I ended up just basically walking into the spot after my first year of playing. And then like, as I got older, like up to under 16 level, when I was like under 15s, I was training with the first team at the school. I wasn't the ones keeper, but I was like but basically there for someone playing like 3 or 4 years up. And then I ended up transferring schools. And at this time for like under 16 level, they didn't call it England, they called it NAGs, and it's called like National Age Group Squads. I basically got into the squad, the England squad, but I didn't play. There were 3 keepers, and I was one of the keepers who like got into like the training squads or whatever. I didn't play. Basically the same up to under 18s. And then what happens is you go to under 21s. Now that's a massive step up. And that's now where you start actually properly representing your country. I mean, it's kind of the system's changed now from when I was that age to literally what it is now. But for under 21s, I had my trials whilst I was at Loughborough Uni, and that's when I tore my ACL. And that was probably my best chance to, that was when I was at my kind of peak of my performance for that age. I think there would have been a very good chance that I would have probably have been either first or second choice at that kind of time. But maybe not first, but like I had a very good run at it. Tore my ACL, missed my chance to have the trials. because then I got too old because you're out for like a year and a half. And then the most recent one that I've had is after the 21s, there's kind of a gap because then it just goes into the full senior stuff. Like, and you don't necessarily represent England anymore. You now represent Great Britain. So the step up is even more because you're competing with the Scotland keepers, Wales keepers, all of them. I had trials for they call it the EDP, which is the Great Britain, GDP or whatever, I can't remember. It's called the Great Britain Development Program. And that's basically the one tier underneath the full GB squad. And they use it for that kind of bridge between the ones who are like 22 to 25. There's a couple of older ones. There's a few 27-year-olds who get dropped from the main squad. And it's basically a platform to then like push you into the full GB side. And then it's there to cater you for Olympics. The highest level that I have got is I had trials to get into that. I had the trials and I didn't get in, but that's by far the highest, like to be even given a shot to be like, there's only a couple keepers who basically get that kind of opportunity. It's not like when you're younger and, you're competing with, everyone else of your school age, getting into the free keepers and that it's good. Don't get me wrong. Obviously it's good, but it's nothing like having a trial for the full GB basic or just the reserve GB men. So that's the highest that I got. I didn't get in, which is obviously gutting. That kind of dream of playing for like Great Britain and England, like I've kind of moved on from it. It is what it is. And now the hockey club that I am at, I'm the reserve goalkeeper for the Great Britain #1 George Pinner for the full senior squad. So I'm the bench basically person for him. But with everything that's happened with COVID, obviously the Premier League, we haven't played since October. So I'm part of the Premier League squad at the moment. What will probably actually end up happening is now I've moved back down to Brighton, is next season I might have to drop a division and play for Brighton first team in like the Championship. But I'd imagine I'll probably walk into that side compared to being on the bench for the
I was going to ask about that, if you were going to keep on playing kind of thing post-COVID and stuff, because do you think even if your trading sort of career would continue to keep on progressing to different heights and stuff, you'll continue to play hockey?
I need to have hockey to separate my day. I mean, my days, like, it's hilarious because when I was at uni, I didn't do any of that type of work. Now, but now, all I do is literally work. Like the only time that I watch TV is if Brighton Football Club are playing on the TV, and I'll stick it. No, but my life is like with COVID as well. My life is just literally staring at a computer screen. I need to go to the gym. I need to do some hockey to be able to break up my day, because otherwise it's just not mentally good for me. Obviously that is going to, the work is going to have to take over from the hockey, because in terms of like priorities, because with hockey, I just get all my expenses paid for. I'm not on a salary per se. It's not like football where you're making the only time you get money is if you are in that full Great Britain squad. And, then you're getting maybe 25 to 30 grand a year plus some sponsors. You might be living on around 35, 40 if you're the best 50, but that's like a very select few, and falling just underneath that category essentially of what I've had. They just pay for everything. So like, yes, it's nice that I don't have to pay for training. If we're playing away, I get all my reservation, my hotels paid for and all of that kind of stuff. But it's not something that you can make a living off of. So, trading's always going to have to take priority over something like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, how have you been during lockdown then? Because you talked about in terms of your routine, splitting up your day with the gym being a big part of it, hockey being a big part of it. How have you been in terms of switching off from your work?
See, that's kind of what sucks, because what was really nice was I could go to the gym, and that's like the perfect way to split up your day for like 2.5 hours or so, and like have a really good session, come back, have a shower, kind of switch off. But whereas now with that, it's much harder, because like you might do a hit session, but you're not going to do a 2-hour hit session.
You could, give it a go.
You could, but I think I'll be on the floor. So now that the lockdowns happened, it has been harder. I've kind of trained myself to get used to the hours that I work. As I kind of said to you today, it was kind of nice coming on the podcast, because this is a break up from you know,
Yeah.
what I've had. So yeah, it kind of it is what it is. I've kind of trained myself to get used to, you know, working over 60-hour weeks by now, and just like you kind of get yourself used to it. But it's because of the YouTube. That's what it is. Because I'm basically running two jobs. You know, if I wasn't doing the YouTube, it would be a lot easier. But at the same time, I enjoy it. It's a good way to kind of split up my day once again. Yes, I'm still working, but it's a good break from staring at a chart, or, you know, having to read news, or like trying to work out, like trying to think, because my brain's always working of like, trading's like, as I kind of met, it's like problem solving, you know, trying to work out, right, this company is how they doing, you know, you're solving a problem and thinking, is that company going to solve that problem? And in turn, are people going to invest in it, put their money there? So it's kind of like a constant psychological game. Whereas when you're making the videos, it's not like that. It is a good way to switch up your kind of mind. But it is long. Video editing is very long, as I'm sure you probably have started
it's good,
realizing.
mate. Yeah, we'll touch on that about the YouTube in terms of like how many hours you have to put in for a certain video. Like I know you even done like a 24-hour like challenge just for the videos, like 24-hour trading challenge, and then you've got to also put the time in to edit it. Like how disheartening is it, and how frustrating it is when that video gets like, don't know, like a good few hundred views less than you intended, or 1,000, because if some of your videos have actually done well. Like,
I was posting for months and I was getting 3 views a video. And I mean, I was putting my heart and soul. The videos were terrible, but I mean, I was still putting because you improve with anything over time. But I was putting so much effort into it. Oh my God, I was spending so many hours, and it was soul destroying to have about 5 people watch your video. And that process went on for about 6 months. And it was hard. And then I got a spike, and I was like, this is my breakthrough moment. This is it. Finally had a video that did 20,000 views. Like my videos were starting going up, and it was like that for about a month. And then it just came straight back down. And instead of having 5 views, I might have 20 views, you know? And then that went on for another 4 months, and it was hard to get through. I'm not going to lie, but yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than you literally know how, like you think that you compare yourself to like other people in the same, obviously me, the fitness industry, you for probably in the trading industry, you compare yourself, like my video is probably at least just as good or better than that one, yet I'm getting 100 views on a video and they're getting 100,000 views on a video, sort of thing. And you're like, it's literally just about like getting your face out there. Like on the Instagram, I've been doing a few of the IGTV videos, because in the fitness industry, that's some of the things I've noticed. Is the likes of like James Smith and Darren Cartel, who are doing like I don't know if you've heard of them before, but IGTV videos, like either like talking about fitness stuff, or like bashing like you do with your TikToks, like bashing these traders who were trying like train traders, sort of thing.
Sat in this chair too long.
Yeah. Stand up, mate, stretch your legs off.
But that's the thing. I sit in this chair, and it is so fucking shit, because it's not my regular office chair. And it like gives me dead legs after a while, and it just absolutely sucks.
Yeah. So, honestly, I've seen in a few videos you complain about the chair, you're sitting up, standing down. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I was saying about like the videos, like I was literally having to share this post with like as many people as I can. And like luckily, obviously I've got some mates who have got some decent amount of followers, and now like just them sharing it, I only got like 5,000 views, and I was literally sharing it with people who have got like one of the person I shared it to who's got 1 million followers. And I shared it to them. I've got like 5K views for it. Even 5K views, that's great. But in the grand scheme of things, that's like nothing compared to some people. It's so disheartening. But like for yourself, you've had a bit of a big breakthrough on the TikTok, like I just mentioned.
Yeah.
In terms of like,
the algorithm I would recommend for you as well. The algorithm is so much better on TikTok versus YouTube to getting people to view your content. Like it is absolutely ridiculous. But I basically made this is where the whole fake guru thing started coming out. I was making these videos, you know. My goal with YouTube was to be able to monetize myself in different ways, you know, give some information out there, have some fun. But what I kind of came to learn to realize was I'd probably even say 99% to 95% of people who are in the finance niche, they have some sort of course or some sort of paid group, and they're using the platform as a marketing tool, even though if they might not directly say it, to try and funnel you into that product. And that's the kind of important thing of what they're doing. And there were so many of them on TikTok, and my mate suggested to go over there and said the algorithm was better, and it was. And I just kept seeing these people, and they're making them, they're just liars, because like I've been in the industry well long enough to understand how it kind of works and what they're saying. And I can make a pretty good guesstimate on if they actually would make money or not. And as soon as that you see a 19-year-old come out and go, I'm a Forex trader and I'm making this, I've been able to turn £100 into 100,000 in a couple of weeks, or £1,000 into 100,000. Well, you need to step back and realize what this person's saying. One, they're 19. Okay. So they've only been around the finance niche for a year. Okay. Two, they're trading Forex, which is notoriously known for being the single hardest market to trade, because that's the way you are coming against the quant hedge funds, especially the time frame that they're trading, because they trade very short time frames because they don't understand. And they go like, oh, like this is day trading. That's the funny thing. Day trading hasn't been a thing for traders for the last 15 years. The only people who are day traders are the quant hedge funds who are running the algorithms to be able to to front run the order books and do this type of thing. Whereas with me, I'm not doing that. So that's not my competition. Whereas with these people who are trading the Forex markets, they're trading less than the hourly time frame and saying, this is a sport, this is the resistance. Well, one, you're 19, you're competing against you're competing in the hardest market and against the by far hardest competitors. And what gets me is they say that they have $1,000 and they've made it into 100 grand. Okay, well, so you've made 10,000% on that return. If we take a look at the greatest investors, the greatest traders of all time, people like Warren Buffett, George Soros, Paul Tudor Jones, who manage multi-billion hedge funds, they might make 20 to 25% in a year and call that an exceptional year. Now, I've been able to do better than that because I placed big bets on Bitcoin and I got lucky. It kind of is what it is, but you need to understand that's kind of that correlated version of risk, and then when you see someone who comes in, a 19-year-old who said that they've made 1,000% return on trading Forex. Well, it's not like Bitcoin where you can kind of just get lucky and it rises and you've made, 400% in a year. And that's not even as close as to what they've basically said that they've made. You're actually physically having to trade to get to that kind of stage. You're constantly having to winning. And then they plug their course saying, if you come join my trade, you can do this as well. If you have a winning strategy, especially if it can net you 100 times more than the best traders in the world, one, you wouldn't give that strategy out to the public because you would set it up as your own private equity fund, have venture capital invest in it, and then you would do it that way. Two, you would be basically richer than Bezos because of compounding, because if you're making 100,000x return every year, even with $1,000, then what's a 10,000% return on 100 grand, like $1 billion more, maybe, it gets ridiculous. So like after 2 to 3 years, you're already basically richer than the richest person in the world. You're not going to sell a course, you're not and this is my problem with it. If you have a proven strategy to beat the market, you set it up for your own private equity fund, you go through the fund and, you trade the capital through the fund. You wouldn't put it open to the public. And even if you did, because then too many people start adopting that strategy, you're no longer it's, the markets are a massive game. If you have a winning strategy, it could be knocked out if people understand that strategy. They can play around it. It's never like a proven thing. Mm-hmm. So if people know that strategy, they can then make a strategy to beat that strategy, so if it was that good, you're not going to open it for the public for that exact reason. So yeah.
Where do you think that all these fake tricks, you see them like you get them messing you on Instagram and stuff all the time. They've got like Ferraris and that and the back. What do you think it is? Do you think they're just renting them for a day, taking a few pictures and then we're back on? Yeah. So I was saying, where do you think what are these kids doing who are doing these fake trading guru things? Do you think they're just literally just renting cars and just sticking it on Instagram and taking money from people?
Oh, 100%. Well, that's all it is. They're living a false lie that, and the thing is, like I'm a trader and I've kind of explained of my daily routine, I don't go out and like flash, like, you know, I think they spend more time on holiday than they do on their charts on the screen, you know. And if these people are as good as they kind of say they are, what they're doing is they're selling a dream. That people have an ideology of what a trader is like and how, you know, and they prey on this, you know, insecurities of people thinking, you know, I can have this great life where I don't have to go to work. That's a lie. You have to work. Like, nothing's just handed to you in this, you know. And they sell this dream of like, you know, I get to go on holiday. You know, I only do a couple of hours work at my screen each week. You know, it's really, really easy. It's not easy. It's really fucking hard. And if you want to succeed, it's slow. It's not actually that. It's not that quick. You know, you either have to kind of get lucky, understand those risks. It's not as black and white as they kind of make it out to be. And then when, as I say, they have these courses, you know, if they have a course, it's just the biggest red flag ever, because you're not necessarily going to sell you're not going to sell your secrets, because if they really make you that much money for that fundamental reason, like, if it was as easy as buying a $500 course, every single person would do it. And that's what frustrates me, because not everyone in the market is clearly a winner.
Yeah, everybody wants, like with anything in life, we get it in terms of like the online coaching, in terms of personal training. Everyone wants like a red pill, just to money instantly, dream body instantly, but they don't realize the work that they put in. Like, you can see, obviously, you're working long hours to try and make money. People just want this magic course or this magic, like in terms of magic diet plan, magic training plan to actually get the dream goal. It takes years and years and years of consistency and putting the hard work in. Like, nothing comes easy. And even if these gurus and stuff, maybe they have had success in the past, maybe there might be one or two out there who have had success. Like we have it in terms of the online coaching. There's these like online coach the coaches who pretty much try and help us grow our own business. Like, yes, there'll be one or two who actually have implemented good kind of tricks and stuff and built the business the right way, but it's probably took them years and years and years of mistakes and stuff. And like in terms of trading, like big losses of money, and then they've had good times and stuff like that. So yeah, if anybody does get messaged by any of these sort of scammers or anything like that, do what Luke does and make TikToks about them, because it's quite entertaining, to be fair. But yeah,
I absolutely love ripping into them. I love getting under their skin and just proving them wrong, and them getting their feathers kind of roughed up by it.
Do you get much backlash from it? Have you had any?
I get so much backlash from it. And it's two types of backlash that you get. You get the person who follows that guru, and because they see them flaunt money, and a lot of people aren't educated, they don't understand how financial markets work. Like, I can appreciate this. They get defensive because they don't want to say that they're a sucker, that they've paid this for this course. It's really, really good. And, you know, I've made a review on one of these courses as well, $500, and he's basically plagiarized it against a completely free website. And I kind of proved that in the video. Not sure if you see that one. And this guy has 250,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I have like 4K. You know, I'm a nobody. My view should be nothing. This guy got so roughed up by what I had to say, because obviously I've completely proved him wrong. Like, I just proved him wrong. He got his whole community to basically come and attack the video and attack me, just because he didn't like what I had to say. And like, that's, you get the two types of people. Like, you have the people who support that guru, and then if I call out that guru for whatever reason, they're like, he's not a fraud. How could he be a fraud? And they always come out with he has 20 grand. He has this. I was like, where do you think he's got that 20 grand from? He hasn't got it from trading the markets or from whatever he said. He's got it from people like you who give it to him, and then he uses that money to then flaunt it to you. You know, if you're a successful trader, you don't like just go and openly just show like you're like these type of things. It's all a marketing tool to be able to play with your psychology and suck you in. So you have those people who then defend the guru, and then you have sometimes the guru takes it bad. I've received threats from people, saying like, we're gonna do this. You know, you just have to kind of dish it back to them a little bit as well. Like, it kind of is what it is. It's not something that what I find it is, you have more stupid people out there than you could than I've ever realized, and they're mostly American, not to sound bad, but they normally are. And they get so defensive, and it's like arguing with a brick wall. Even though you have laid out the clear facts to them and you literally speak facts, like you'll show them the statistics in front of them of why this person is a fraud. They don't want to believe it, and they won't believe it, and they will come out with whatever excuse of what and sometimes it's completely irrelevant. Like it doesn't even make sense. Like if one of the gentlemen that I called out was black, you're racist, you're this, that's why you don't want to see a black man succeed. Like, no, it's absolutely nothing to do with that. You know, you're trying to, and these people are pathetic anyway, because you're using that as like a front running excuse to try and like, you know, of something that's completely irrelevant. So I have to deal with quite a lot of those people. What I've now ended up doing is kind of just switching off the comments and just like, it is what it is. Like the majority of the people obviously on my side, because the majority of people know that I'm not, well, you know, I'm not chatting shit with it. But when you rough up the gurus, you either get threats from them, or you get like the backlash from their kind of community, because they don't want to be taken for these kind of suckers, which is fine. Like at the end of the day, if you want to believe them, I'm fine. I'm just showing my opinion. I'm not personally like, you know, like for you, but they like to make it personal and try and like attack you for it, because
really gets it.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, because in terms of growing YouTube these days, obviously the market is very saturated. I know what it's like in terms of the fitness industry for YouTube. It's ridiculous. It's probably the same in terms of your industry as well. Do you think videos like that, in terms of calling out the I don't know, the ones who have got the following and stuff like that, they're something that you've maybe planned and maybe thought about, or maybe where did the idea kind of come from for them sort of videos to try and grow your YouTube?
So that it happened on TikTok, and one of the main guys on the TikTok platform had like 400,000 followers, 500,000 followers. And he was saying that you could day trade options with $100 and turn it into $1 million in a year. And it was, quote, very doable. And I literally reading that, I like listening to that, I was like, this is the biggest load of bollocks I've ever heard in my life. Like, as I said, the best traders out there might make 20, you know, in these hedge funds and stuff, might make 20 to 25%. Some make more, they can play higher risk, but they're not making $100 into $1 million. Like that is just absolute bullshit. Oh, look, he sells a course, you know, and I basically, a switch went off and I was just like, fuck this guy. Like, I'm pissed off. Like I'm just fed up with these people. And I just basically just called him a dickhead on TikTok, just let my emotions go. Just basically called him a dickhead, said like why this isn't possible. And the video got over 500,000 views. And since then, like I was like, fuck, this is quite big. And then there was these second ones, and this is where I got my first threat. These two bellends called the Alert Nation on TikTok, like absolute bellends. Like they just look like the biggest fucking twats ever. I mean, I call him a douchebag in the video, and then flash a douche up on the screen as well. That again got over 500,000 views. And then I kind of realized like it's kind of a bit of a niche in here, you know, just basically calling out. It does have its backlash because no one wants to receive threats, you know, like it's not nice. I take it on the chin. It's not nice. But not enough people do it. And then I kind of made that video on YouTube as well, where necessarily instead of just calling them out, I actually joined one of the groups, copied every single trade they made for over a month into a simulator, and it lost a significant amount of money. And these people were basically, and whenever there was a losing trade, they would go quiet. And if they made a winning trade, they'd scream and shout about it. And I basically just made a video documenting the experience and then calling them twats along the way. Again, it kind of does well. So now I don't want to make it like, I don't want to be known for that guy who just basically shits on people. Like, I mean, it is fun in ways, but I don't want to do. If I keep doing, I'm just going to keep drawing a bigger and bigger target on the back of my head, which I don't necessarily want. But it's kind of the way that things are swinging at the moment. I am helping out people, but that's kind of how it came about. I think there was just not enough people out there doing it. The thing is, because 98% of the people who are on this platform, you know, if you think about it, just logistically, I know it's critical because I do this and I make content on YouTube or whatever, but I generally do. That's because I like making stupid comedy sketch videos and stupid challenges and just having fun with it. But where these people, you know, if they're trying to teach people like how to make money and, you know, promising these type of things, sit back a minute and you go like, if they were really making this kind of money, why are they making these kind of videos? You know, they wouldn't do it, you know, it just wouldn't be a thing. So, so I think that's why there was a market for it, because there was no one else really out there doing it, because so many of these people, as I said, have these products that they're not going to call out other people if they have a paid group, you know? So, and also like, I don't need to make a paid group because, you know, I've made money. Like I don't need to monetize my content that way. I can get it out of AdSense. I can get it out of affiliate stuff. You know, if they sign up to my brokerage or whatever, I get a kickback for that. And I'm not scamming anyone. You know, I'm just getting reimbursed, you know, for some of the work. There's different ways that you could go about things, but they'd love to go for this kind of strategy. And I kind of like just debunking it is.
Yeah, I like that. So where do you see, because I listened to obviously a few of your videos, and one of the videos you said by the end of the year you want 100K subscribers on YouTube. Where do you see your content and your YouTube and TikTok and stuff like moving forward and progressing? Where do you want it to go?
Well, today I've been speaking to video editors to sign someone on full time, because it's just I need something to. Well, one, I want to level up the content. If I hire a professional video editor, one, that's going to, you know, make the content better, hopefully. And two, it's going to take off the workload. So it can just help me focus on the stuff that's actually important, you know, scripting the videos, actually making sure that it's good content and not have to worry about that kind of side of things. Sorry, I missed your question. Where do I see it going?
Yeah, in terms of where do you want it to go, like in terms of your content, what do you want to be known for on YouTube in a sense?
I want to be known as the, I want, my videos are about making videos on the hustle. I want to be basically the top person in that kind of area where you have entertaining videos, but still are informative on the finance niche of different ways that I approach the markets, you know, and if I actually make money doing those various different ventures. And it doesn't have to be trading. I've done one on match betting. I've got an idea coming up where I basically start out with a toy car and I trade it with people. So I'm going to try and meet up with my followers. And if they want to trade it for like, I don't know, something like a Xbox remote, say, and you keep flipping it until you get something better. So I saw this video where someone started out with a paperclip. They traded it for a pen, traded it for a book, traded it for whatever. And they basically kept leveling it up ever so slightly until they got to the point of a house. I'm trying to think of maybe doing a series where I start out with the toy car, maybe get to a real car, you know, and trying to do like things like that, where you're having fun, showing people legitimate ways that you can approach different various ventures and be able to, you know, hopefully make some money out of it. And at the same time, you know, doing some good work in that, you know, exposing the bad actors and maybe necessarily why they're kind of bad actors. That's the vision that I have for my channel. I don't think there's anyone like necessarily kind of in that niche as well, which is kind of good. The top people out there, people like Graham Stephan, who I don't know if he's American. I really rate. He's good content. He doesn't sell a pipe dream. The ones who sell pipe dreams, they're the ones that get under my skin. You know, he says you need to invest in like S&P 500 index funds. I'm in property. Not promising a dream where you're going to make 50% a year from whatever bullshit it is that they're kind of feeding you. Those guys are good. I want to basically take that concept, but, you know, actually show me doing it.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that. Do you think you'll do trading kind of for like the rest of your life? Do you think you just keep it going?
Yes. Maybe not as necessarily intensely as I do at the moment. I think as I get older and my net worth grows, what I will be doing is it's like why I'm making YouTube. I'm doing that to diversify my income stream and be able to earn myself money from different areas. And that's kind of the whole goal. By the time I'm 30, you know, I want 6 or 7 different income streams coming in. If that's, I rent a property out to people, that's 1. I have my YouTube, that's 2. I have AdSense coming in, that's 3. I have sponsorship deals, you know, that's 4. I have trading, I have dividend investments, you know, like that's the whole goal, is to have a playing field where I'm not relying on, and this is where too many people make the mistake in life. They stick to one thing and they don't try and money, they stick to their 9 to 5. And I'm not saying 9 to 5s are bad. I think 9 to 5s are very good, but what they don't do is they don't save some money and stick that into a venture to be able to earn themselves more money. And I mean, like, it's making that opportunity cost. Like, it isn't that much to kickstart YouTube. I mean, like, I'd spend 600 quid on a camera. Like, I know that could be a lot for some people, but it doesn't even necessarily have to be a good camera. You know, you could easily get a grand loan from somewhere. You know, there'll be somewhere with not too high interest on it necessarily. And that's a really good backbone to get you started. I'm not saying YouTube's necessarily the thing for whatever it is you want to do. And that's why I'm doing the YouTube. That's what I want to get it to the point that it's not earning me 10 to 15 pound a day. I want it to be, you know, a few £100 a day, maybe even more. Like, so, some of the top people in my niche are getting 5-6 grand a day. I'm not saying it's going to be that big, but getting it to the point where it would easily be enough to just live off that one income stream and not have to rely on the rest if the other ones go down. And even if even if one goes down, then I've got 4 other ones over here that I can still, you know, feed back on. Right now, I've only mostly got the trading. The YouTube is growing, but I'm still young. You know, this is the whole goal. Try and keep not have to earn money, like not have to work a 9 to 5, earn money from so many different ways that you're earning money while you're sleeping. So that way you could literally retire by the age of 35 and you have so many different sources of income coming in from so many different passive ways because you've done that work early that you're just set for basically life.
Yeah. No, I'm big on that, like having different streams of income and stuff. That's why I'm pursuing like online stuff. I might end up looking into trading. There's always different things. And I think people do get stuck in that 9 to 5 and think, right, I need to progress in my job and get as high as I can. And that might only be, there's only a limit to that. Like you said, it might only be like 50 grand a year. Like some people you might be satisfied at that level. Great. If you're happy doing living off whatever you're on, but if you want to kind of excel in that, look at different markets and look at different things that you can invest in, whether it's like a YouTube channel, like you said, I mentioned, just get a camera. I'm still videoing on my iPhone. Was it iPhone 9 or 10, whatever it is?
And that's still, these are good. You know, you don't need to invest that. The main thing is lighting, and that isn't even that much. I mean, I've got a pretty nice light in front of me now, which might have cost me like 100 quid or whatever, but he's still, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big. Like,
it takes time to build up as well. Like in terms of my podcast, I started it with my headphones and like a HP, I don't know what I had. It literally 300 quid for about 10 years old. Now, like over the time and stuff, I've earned money from my personal training stuff, and I've got a MacBook Pro. I've managed to get a half decent mic. I've got like, in terms of lighting, you can see where I'm in at the minute. I'm still living with my parents in my mom's dressing room. I've got her nice little lights on here. So the lighting's still decent. Like, you can make do with stuff. It's just starting stuff. And then
mate, that was the same as me. I was on a webcam in my parents' my dad has like a kind of little office. I mean, it's not an office, but I set up in that kind of room, you know, and like, that's how everyone kind of starts out. You know, I didn't have that good. I had a kind of an on camera, or I don't think this was one of my first bigger investments. I mean, again, this was like 100 quid. But yeah, it doesn't take that much. The hardest thing to overcome is to have to keep repeatedly doing it until you get to the point where you can then reinvest back in. That's the hardest bit, because a lot of people, as you mentioned, they don't like to not see results. And I've put thousands of hours into my YouTube channel, and to not see any results, you know, you've put so much work into it. You can't just quit, you know, like it goes exponential. Like, now I'm seeing results. Now I'm seeing 30, 40 subscribers a day. 3 months ago, I was earning less than £1 a day from YouTube. Now I'm earning 10 to 15 pound. You know, do the math. You know, what's that next level up? 100 to 150 pound in the next 3 months. I'm basically looking at the trajectory that I'm going. That 150 pound a day is good money. Like, it's not bad. And then after that, you're on £400-500 a day. And that isn't that unreasonable, you know? It's just like being able to get from that starting point, and it's that exponential growth. And it's the same with anything, you know? I wasn't investing that much money at the time, but it compounds over time, and then you split it up, and then you have more coming in. It just, it just grows.
The process. It's just people don't stick along, like, in long enough. I listened to a podcast the other day. It was actually based on trading. It's a guy, he was Lewis Morgan. He was one of the original owners of Gymshark, like the original founders. He did a podcast with Max Tuning talking about like YouTube specifically in terms of fitness. Like, Max Tuning, I think he's got like $750,000 or $250,000 followers, whatever it is. He was saying there's so many people that he's like been friends with, and like some of his friends who have had YouTube, got a few like thousand followers and stuff, then just give up because they've kind of just, there might have been a few months where they weren't getting any followers or like views were literally staying the same. And then Max was saying like literally just like, it's especially in the YouTube game now, it's just about like staying consistent, keep on trying to slowly progress, and things will happen. Like you might get like one or two people who do like get one video that gets like 2 million views and then they get loads of subscribers and stuff out of nowhere. Like there's a few
And it's
people
so
who
annoying
get that
because I've
lucky.
seen that with people in my niche as well. And you like, you know, the finance niche, you know, they're not making that great content. You know, what they're saying isn't that great, but they have one video that's pops. And then suddenly, you know, then they shoot to over 20K followers. And to go from 20K to 50K followers is, you know, it's a lot easier than going from somewhere like 2K to 5K, because your content's not getting recommended to as nearly as many people. And it's just that cascade effect. And the amount of times I've seen someone who's been on the same amount of followers kind of as me, maybe slightly more, and now they're on like 90, 95 to 100. And I'm like, you know, it's just that one super video that gets you over 500,000 views like I had on TikTok. I got 27,000 followers on TikTok in the space of 3 months because I had 2 videos that, you know, like popped off. It's kind of all that. Yeah.
Trying different things, isn't it? Trying different things. And one thing will kick off. Like just stay consistent with stuff, and then one thing will hopefully kick. That's what I'm hoping in terms of like my YouTube stuff. Like I've got, I think 2 videos that I've got like a few, like a 1K, something like that. So I'm miles off it still, but I know I'm going to keep sticking at it and stuff. And there will be something that kind of explodes. But it's just being patient and like sticking at it. Like, how long you had your YouTube for now?
Year and a half, year and 9 months.
Yeah. How long did it take until it probably started like kicking on?
Yeah. I mean, I say it's now kicking off.
So like, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's now started to. I'd say a year, probably a year and a half.
Yeah.
I heard you sigh, like it's a long time.
It's a very
It really
long time.
is. It's a really long time. It doesn't just, you know, some people get lucky, some people hit the algorithms and they, you know, it is a bit of a lottery. I don't know how the algorithm works. I think it's a bit of luck a lot of times of actually hitting it. Because I've had videos that have been shit and they've taken off. Like my latest video, I know for a fact that's the best edit I've ever done, and it's got 600 to 700 views on it. Whereas one that's not even that good has over 10,000, and I'm like,
yeah,
it's just is.
Sometimes it's just like the title and the thumbnail that gets it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes like.
That video, that really good edit, you know, they go, oh, audience retention's really high. I have 700 views on that video with nearly a 70% audience retention. Like it's higher than any other video, and it still hasn't taken off. And it's not to say it won't be picked up by the algorithm in a couple of months, but that's kind of the thing. Like, it's just, just keep going and just tough, keep plugging. Yeah, mate, it is tough. It is a grind. Like I'm so underestimated it because I saw these videos being posted on YouTube and I was like, this guy's shit. Like, he doesn't really know what he's talking about. He's getting 200,000 views for this shit. And I was kind of like, this is easy. Like, no.
Yeah. You think it's just, like, initially it's like, right, I'm going to do a video that's like that. It's about the video. It's not like that. You originally think like, right, one great video and then I'm in. It's not like that at all. It's like it takes hundreds sometimes to kind of get there, and then that one video will take off. But no, it's a tough one. Well, I want to finish off with a little few questions. I know I've got the 3 questions that I've already put down. I don't know if you briefly looked at them right at the end on the notes, but I wanted to talk about in terms of like, because I'm big on preaching mental health and stuff. How have you? Obviously, we talked about lockdown with your routine and stuff like that. Do you think you'll ever get to a point where you're satisfied in terms of like financially, in terms of money? Are you, because I know obviously when everybody's got that addictive personality, they get to a certain point, they might set a goal of like making, I don't know, 100K a year, whatever it is. You might get to that point and then you might be like, right, I want to go beyond it. Whereas initially you'd be like, you know what, I'll be happy at that point. Do you think it's just going to be a continuous thing, or do you think you're going to be like, right, Luke, mate, you need to settle down?
Though I enjoy what I do. Like, as much as I might bitch and complain about I work too much, like, so sometimes like I might bitch and complain about it, but I do enjoy it. Like, as I said, it is a game and I don't see that necessarily coming out of me. I enjoy trying to make money, trying to find new ways to make money. What would be nice is till I get to the point that I don't have to necessarily rely on work, because I've built up so many different passive income streams that I could just sit back And if I want to go on holiday, I can go on holiday, you know, and it's not work. If I want to shoot a video while I'm out on holiday, I shoot a video while I'm out on holiday, but it doesn't necessarily, you know, I think what I'm more addicted to is, I think what a lot of people aren't necessarily addicted to the money. It's the freedom that they can get, that money that brings. Until the point that you can kind of get to the point where it's not necessarily about the money. It's about, you know, you can live the life that you want to kind of live. That's kind of the end goal. I would say for this, you know, not to have to worry about a trade, not to have to worry about, you know, the YouTube, not hitting those, you know, if I want to make a video, I make a video. If it doesn't, I can just do what I want to do. That's kind of the point that I think that's the dream. And I think that's kind of the dream for anyone, really. It isn't about I want 10 million in the bank. It's what that can basically do for your life.
Yeah. No, I like that, mate. Go on. We'll wrap up with the 3 questions that I wrote down right at the end. So, first one: 3 people you'd like to invite round for dinner or for a coffee, past or present, can be anybody.
I had to think about this last night as well. It was like, oh yeah, what I'd want Trump, I'd want Putin, and I'd want Elon Musk as the kind of like residuator, or like the.
I'll just be a scrap.
Yeah, exactly. It would be a scrap, but like with the perfect guy in the middle to try and, like, you know, authenticate it all.
Calm everything down. I like that 3. Next one: people you want to train with, obviously fitness related podcast. It can be gym related, football, hockey, anything you want, mate. 3 people you want to train with.
See, with hockey, I would have said, you know, a couple of years ago, like, who would I want to train with? You know, the Great Britain #1 keeper. But I've done that every week for the last year and a half now. Yeah. So, I would love to do like a training session with like a celebrity like Zac Efron or like Kevin Hart, and like have that kind of like that do a gym session like that. That would be the ultimate. Mate.
Get that on YouTube.
Yeah, that would be so much fun to do a gym session with like a celebrity personality, like along those lines. That would be awesome.
Yeah. And then the last one thing you'd say to yourself 5 years ago:
buy Bitcoin earlier. Buy more Bitcoin.
Simple, yeah. Mate. I know. I think I wish I'd done it a little bit better as well. But like I said before the podcast, I was one of them people who, like, when it was literally having that spike, I bought into it and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Lost loads of money, but not loads of money. I only put 100 quid in, so it wasn't too bad. I'm going to briefly at the end, just for like people who are listening, who are just like me, don't really know too much about trading, but maybe they want to try and get into. Do you think it's something that you can kind of just like throw some money in and leave it over time?
Yeah, so I think this is important, and I haven't really talked about it. You can succeed in this place. Like it isn't like up exhibit. I've kind of been able to do it myself, but what you need to do, you need to stop thinking. You need to stop thinking short term. You need to stop thinking I'm going to switch. Too many people go into the game and they go, it's like playing a game of cricket. If you try to hit a 6 every single ball, you're going to get some people who get to 50 very, very quickly, but 95% of people are going to get out, you know? And if you take the approach of trading like that, stop trying to hit home runs every time, you know, stick to what's actually principally the boring stuff and stuff that you don't want to do. Work, save some money. If that's £100, I think everyone could save £100 from their job a month. Like, it isn't, you know, stick that into an S&P 500 index fund, an ETF. That's something that diversifies your income for you. It's notoriously made about 8.5% with the dividends reinvested each year. It's nothing crazy. Don't get me wrong. But if you consistently do that for a long period of time, one, that's going to teach you financial discipline because you're going to understand how markets are working. 2, you're going about it in the right way because you're not dumping your money into something like, I think Bitcoin's an excellent investment, but you're not going balls to the walls of it. You know, this is what I'm saying about those home run kind of thing. If you start out slow, think about actually making correct investment decisions that are boring, but they're going to teach you about the markets. Then once you understand how different assets have different corresponding amounts of risk, you build up knowledge over time, then you could start making more lucrative plays, you know, and making those slightly more riskier plays. You can't go for the home runs every time, because if you do, you know, just going in with that mentality, you're going to get screwed over. So for anyone who I would say who wants to get into this phase, if you're not investing already, you need to start investing, because, you know, by the time that you're going to come to retire, even if you're saving 100, 150 pound a month, if you saved 150 pound per month and stuck it into an S&P 500 index fund and did that for 40 years, you would be a millionaire basically by the end of it. It will happen. So that teaches you the power of saving, constantly investing, you know, and hopefully you could be able to beat the market or something like that over time. But you need to be slow, you need to be consistent, and it will work. Like it's not a myth that buying an index fund like that doesn't work. Of course it works, but it's the process of investing and saving. That's the important thing, not getting yourself into debt. And not enough people teach that. They just see these people flash nice cars or whatever, but that isn't a real lifestyle that you're actually living. The real side to it, and how professionals manage their money, is, you know, they make sure they don't get into debt. They make sure that they make sound investment decisions that are going to be able to net themselves a return. And it doesn't mean you have to stick it into an S&P 500. You can buy a YouTube camera. You could buy whatever it is and invest. That's still investing, and you're investing in probably the best asset, which is yourself. And, you know, try and build it up that way and from the ground up, instead of, don't be stupid with it. It's not what people want to hear. That's the unfortunate thing.
Yeah, I know. I think, like I said, people just want that instant kind of whatever it is, instant money.
And there will be some people, and I'm not saying there hasn't been people who haven't turned 5K into 100K in the space of 3 months. There has been people who have done that. There's a guy on GameStop at the moment, or who put in 50 grand, turned it into 50 million because he bought, ridiculous. And that is real. Like, you do have those people who have done that, but you need to understand that's 0.01%. You know, like, you can get lucky, or you can do the graft, and unfortunately you're going to have to do the graft if you want to.
Yeah, that was spot on, mate. Nice way to end it. Where can people follow you with? YouTube, anything else that you want to shout with? TikTok?
YouTube. I'm Luke Appleton. It might be, the URL will be youtube.lukeappleton10x. All of my handles are Luke Appleton 10x, I think, except for Twitter, which is Luke 10x. And yeah, you can basically find me for all of that.
Spot on, mate. I'll put all your links and stuff in the show notes for the podcast and on the YouTube and stuff. But been an absolute pleasure, mate. It absolutely blew my mind with certain things, but it's nice to kind of get a little bit of insight into yourself, and obviously nice to catch up with you as well. Spot on, mate.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, good.